Ready. Now, the structural classification of the receptors. How do they look? Well, these are either free nerve endings or encapsulated nerve endings. Remember, it's a nerve ending. It's the ending part of the dendrites. Imagine all the dendrites of the sensory neurons. They can be free or they can be, trapped inside a capsule. And that capsule is made out of connective tissue. So free nerve endings, usually they detect pain, and that pain usually is located in the epithelia and in the connective tissue, which are, by the way, the two most common types of tissue in the body, but they are not present in muscle or nervous tissue. Nervous, that's an S, on the nervous tissue. They are not present in there, meaning that your brain, your spinal cord, your muscles, they do not hurt because they don't have nociceptors. They don't have pain receptors. Now, free nerve endings also detect temperature changes. There are thermoreceptors, there are itch receptors. So as you can see, all of these free nerve endings, I call them ouch receptors. There are sensations that make you pain, temperature, or itching. Now, let's see these pain receptors in this image. Here we have the typical free nerve endings. So C is the end, the dendrite of the sensory neuron that branches on the surface of either epithelium or a connective tissue. In this example is branching in the surface of the epidermis, detecting what? Pain, because these are the, pain, temperature, or itching. So those are the typical free nerve endings. We have other free nerve endings that they wrapped around the hair follicle, and they can detect the bending of or the movement of the hair close to the skin. And we have the Merkel disc. There are also nerve endings, but they, as you can see, they are associated or they wrapped around these innermost cells of the epidermis, and they detect light touch. Okay, so just when you superficial touch, okay, that's what they detect. Now, in the other side, we have, let's put it here, we have the encapsulated nerve endings. And encapsulated nerve endings are the same free nerve ending, but then they're going to be wrapped usually in a layer by a strong cell and then a layer of connective tissue. So it looks like a lollipop, right? So those are the encapsulated nerve endings. And what else did I put in here? Oh, the sensations that they detect are mechanic or physical sensations. So they are mechanoreceptors. They detect, for example, Meissner corpuscles that are located right deep to these invaginations of the dermis, right underneath the epidermis. They detect light touch, but this is fine touch. The ones that we detect with our hands and the fingertips, and we can discriminate and can tell what is it very different from the touch on your back, right? The soles of your feet. Generally, hairless skin has Meissner corpuscle. We have also receptors that detect pressure and vibration. So this is touch as well. This is pressure and vibration, Pacinian, and Ruffini also detects pressure and vibration. And they're located deeper on the dermis, as you can see, or in the subcutaneous tissue. Now, the difference between these two is just that Pacinian detects the initial pressure, which is just like a deeper touch, right? And when you release the pressure. Now, the Ruffini, it senses the constant pressure. Now, there is another encapsulated receptor, encapsulated nerve ending that is not included in here because it's not present in the skin, which are the proprioceptors, but they are encapsulated nerve endings. Okay, so in here we have the proprioceptors. Grab my pen. Proprioceptors, which are encapsulated nerve endings, so they detect mechanoreceptors. But this one, they don't detect uh, um, vibration or pressure or touch. They detect stretching. Okay, and we have three types. We have these are the muscle spindles located on the skeletal muscles. We have the tendon organs located on the tendons, and we have the joint kinesthetic receptors that are located on the joints. Okay, so this is the elbow joint. These receptors, the joint kinesthetic receptors, are located on the capsule of the joint, and they detect stretching. They can detect pain, but usually what they detect is movement of the joint, sustained movement, and the acceleration, the initial movement. So in that way, it can let the central nervous system know at any given time the position of every joint in our body. Do you have your legs crossed? Do you have your elbow on top of your the table? All of those information is sent in any given instant, every instance of our life, to the central nervous system, so it can make adjustments to keep us away from the floor. Now, the tendon organs, remember a tendon, what is a tendon? It's just this piece of dense, regular connective tissue. See how regular it is? All the fibers run in the same direction, and they connect muscle to the bone, right? And these receptors, see, these are free-ending receptors that are enclosed in a capsule of connective tissue. So these receptors are detecting tension, okay? So think about it. Whenever you are contracting a muscle, if this muscle shortens, right, it pulls the tendon, right? When you're contracting the biceps brachii, you contract it, and at the same time, you're pulling the tendon, right, to bring the forearm towards your arm, and that's called flexion of the forearm. So that pulling, okay, sensation is the one that is being detected by the tendon organs, also called Golgi tendon organs, and is sent by the same sensory neuron, see, to the central nervous system. Important, where are the body of these sensory neurons? Okay, one more time. If I have a bundle of these axons, I put several of these axons together. Here is the cell, here is the axon, another cell, another axon. The bundle of these axons, they are called nerves because we are in the peripheral nervous system. But the bundle of these cell bodies, they form ganglia, okay? And where are these ganglia? Wow, it's not working. Where is those ganglia located? Those are the dorsal root ganglia that we have described in previous chapters, that are located on either side of the spinal cord, okay? Let's describe now the muscle spindles. Okay, whew. Let me go back really fast to delete. Sorry, that's the only way I know how to delete my scrabbles. Okay, muscle spindles. The muscle spindles, I'm gonna grab blue, are these receptors. They are located within the perimysium. Woo! Ha! Remember, perimysium is that connective tissue. See, they're located in connective tissue that forms the muscle fascicles. So right there within that perimysium, we are going to find the spindle, the muscle spindle, which is the receptor, or the stretch receptors for the muscle now. And they are innervated by sensory fibers, these in blue and in purple. And these sensory fibers, they, twist around these special the skeletal muscles are called interfusial fibers, and they detect when the muscle is being stretched. So pay attention, I'm always talking about stretching, tension. I'm not talking about contraction. Think about it. When are the situations when a muscle stretches? When it's opposing an antagonist. So, for example, if I'm contracting the bicep brachii, I am stretching the triceps brachii. So I'm stretching the muscle spindles of the triceps brachii. That stretching is what these receptors detect. Okay, in the other type of fibers that are in here are in red. These are efferent fibers. So these are coming from somewhere in the central nervous system, spinal cord of the brain, and they're going to bring a motor command to this effector, which is the muscle, the skeletal muscle. And the motor command is going to, remember, always be contraction. So let's see how this works in one of the most extreme situations so we can understand this. When you're about to fall, almost all your muscles are stretching, right? They are elongated. So they are stretching. Sorry. Let me get my blue again. They're stretching. That stretch level of the change in the length of the muscle fiber in there is detected by the muscle spindle using which is the end, remember, of these sensory fibers. These sensory fibers go where? To, the body of these neurons are located on the dorsal root ganglia, right? And from there, the other fiber, one fiber is this one, from there the axons enter the spinal cord. They can stop in here, but there are others that are going to relay the information to interneurons that are going to deliver the information to the cerebral cortex. Others are going to deliver the information right here into the cerebellum. That's how the information gets there. Now it's in the central nervous system. Let's analyze this. This guy has all the muscles, agonist and antagonist are being stretched. He's going to fall. So that, and then it creates, based on that information, sensory information, nervous system says, whoa, let's send a motor neuron to specific skeletal muscles in order for this guy, avoid this guy from falling. So some of that information are going to be issued, that motor command is going to be issued directly from the spinal cord, okay, and in the skeletal muscle. What is this? Do you recognize this? We have a receptor, the muscle spindle. We have these sensory fibers sending the information to the spinal cord, to the central nervous system in general. Then we have, which is the integration center, then we have a motor neuron that sends a motor command to a target organ or an effector, which is the skeletal muscle. So what is this? This is the reflex arc, right? That we have described in previous chapters. Now, the motor neuron also can issue, if that sensory information reach our cortex, and now we are aware, we're conscious about it, that the motor command is going to be issued from upstairs, from higher levels in the premotor cortex, in the frontal lobe of the brain, of the cerebrum, I'm sorry. And remember, it receives feedback from the cerebellum, so it goes down to the spinal cord segment necessary, where the neurons that innervate that muscle are located, okay, and deliver the signal, the order for contraction. That's how the propioceptors work. Now, we have described in these two videos all of these branch, the sensory, all of these actually, okay? The sensory or afferent division of the peripheral nervous system, the somatic sensory or afferent division of the peripheral nervous system. Remember that we have 4. So we describe the somatic general receptors. We describe that way the sensory afferent division, and that information reach the dorsal root ganglia located on either side of the spinal cord, okay, or in some other ganglia are located that we'll describe later, the trigeminal nerve, that which neurons relay the information to the central nervous system. Now, in the next videos, we're going to describe the somatic motor efferent division of the nervous system. So this is what comes next on this chapter. Then the other chapter, we will take care of the visceral or sensory division. I was going to tell you something. Okay, so we're going to start the description of the somatic motor or efferent division of the peripheral nervous system by describing the cranial and the spinal nerves. See you in the next video.